Welcome once again to the Vitrolife Group Academy studio. With me today I have Dr. Kelly Tilleman from Gent, and we are going to talk about the topic of witnessing in the laboratory. Kelly, over to you.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you very much, first of all, for Vitrolife and eFertility for giving me the opportunity to discuss some of our experiences with one of the eWitnessing products, and so it's the eWitnessing system of eFertility. Okay, here we go. There's only one reason actually why we should do this electronic witnessing instead of manual witnessing, and we all know what the reasons are. I mean, whenever a mix-up happens, so it is some witnessing step that has actually gone wrong, then we are in the media with devastating pictures and devastating messages. Of course, the majority of the witnessing steps go well, but nobody's interested in good news. I mean, you know, so I actually have a phrase on top of my my door when I leave my office, which says in a strange language so that nobody can read it. So I'm actually disclosing this. It says in a very strange language, "Smile, today was a good day." Because we tend to forget that most days are good days, and the tens of procedures and hundreds of procedures that we do in a day are often fine, but still it can go wrong, and I guess everybody here realizes or has encountered a witness mistake, and that led to a devastating situation for your team and for your patient. Why is it so difficult for us to do witnessing steps in a good way? It's because we work in a very complex system. Our clinics are very, very busy units, and we have a high degree of complex procedures where humans interact with a lot of very specific and very difficult technologies. Gametes and embryos of different patients and donors are processed in the same area. Different people are working on different samples. And also, if you look at the whole trajectory from oocyte collection to embryo transfer, it takes a few days. Several people are all involved. And so it's not one person who is only doing, you know, all the procedures of one patient from the beginning to the end. So you have different names in your head. You have to take care of specific situations for different patients, and so it adds to the complexity of the system in which we work. So checking and controlling is something that we do a lot. Identity is key, and we still often do it manually. It also took us in Gent a long time to switch to an electronic system, but still a lot of labs are doing it manually, and this is actually a bit strange because it seems like if you do a double check manually that your colleague is some kind of superhuman that doesn't make the mistakes that you did in the first witnessing. So actually, if you calculate it statistical wise, you will never get a better witness by doing it by two humans, because the first human might make a mistake and the other human is not a superhuman. It's not a robot, it's not a system. Hey, you know. So in the end, you don't really have a safer system. So I think that's why it's very interesting, and I'm not saying you have to and you must, but it's very interesting to look at digital witnessing and to see what it can mean to you. So of course I'm going to discuss the eWitness system of eFertility, which we have in our center now. We've been working it for over a year. The nice thing is that it combines a lot of technologies in one. You can choose what you want to start off with. So you can use handheld barcode readers, or you can use the RFID technology. And the nice thing is you can standardize it with your own procedures. It, of course, enhances process efficiency, but that's not only the system of eWitness. I think the digital witnessing of all of the vendors actually does that. It minimizes interruptions, and mismatches can and of course occur, and then you can learn about it and discuss about it. Now, why would you choose for eWitness as a digital witnessing system? It's because it has some specificities, to my opinion, that maybe the other vendors have not or have not yet. And that is, and most importantly, you organize your witnessing steps as you want. So in a paper that was published, you know, when the people were asked, does it give you more confidence? Lab technicians and embryologists says, yes, yes, it does, but still, you know, we don't read enough. We have to do more witnessing steps than we did before. So the labels are very tiny. Sometimes the RFID label doesn't have a name, so we have to write the names still on the dishes. And so some audible alarms are the same. So it says beep if you did the right scan, and it says beep and not if it did the wrong scan. So, you know, these are things that people encounter when they use digital witnessing. So in eWitness, actually, there are some things that are maybe optimized in this system. So for instance, you organize your witness steps as you want. You call them what you want. So you go together with the team of eFertility, you sit down and you discuss how you witness. So when we started off, we just did the same thing and we did manually. We didn't overcomplicate. We didn't put any extra witnessing steps. We just did the same thing. We just took, instead of calling somebody, come to check, can somebody come to check, please, I'm waiting, can somebody come to check? You take your device and the device checks for you. You have to acknowledge the patient in your witnessing system, which is also a critical step, because you have some colleagues have bigger fingers than others. So if you press the wrong patient, you will get an error scan. But you are still reading the names. So the system working with eFertility, eWitness system actually obliges you also still to acknowledge the patient that you are witnessing. The labels, these guys have tiny labels, they have big labels. They are labels where the name can be printed on. I will show you some. And the barcode or the 2D matrix or the RFID. You can have everything in one label, actually, which is quite unique at the moment in the sector. And yes, they do have different audible alarms. You can actually choose the that you want if you do a mismatch. Even the scanning system changes color. So if you start scanning, it's orange. And if you end the scan and you did all the scans that you had to do, say that you need to scan fixed 3 barcodes, a dish and 2 tubes, the scanner will only turn green if you have actually scanned the last tube. So if you only do 2, it will stay orange. So also you have a visible sign that your witnessing is actually complete, which I think is very nice. It's one label fits all. It's quite unique. For me, that was the most important thing in contrast with the other vendors. So I wanted my team to only stick one label on a tube. One label, no writing anymore, a label that we could design ourselves, which you can do with these guys. So I show you some labels here. So we actually always have a name of a patient or a number on there if it's donors. In combination with the barcode, and in combination if it's sperm or oocyte or whatever. So you can actually, together with the team of eFertility, decide what you want on your label. So for oocytes and embryos, of course, you would like to have the number. So you see number 1, number 2. So very important, of course, if you do PGT, and also for a ranking of embryos in patients. So you nicely have the number there. So you see there are different types. You have barcodes for the cryo labels, of course. You have 2D matrices for instance, the dishes. And you can have also the RFID threads inside of the label. You can do, they have an open API, so you can actually bridge your EMR system to the eFertility eWitness module. So you can only use their eWitness module so your colleagues don't need to put in the names again in the eWitness system. There is like a transfer of demographic variables like name, or if you have a cycle, national cycle number, or anything else you want to have on in your dashboard, which I will show. So we have an integrated approach. These guys really work with you together to see how they can actually bridge your EMR system with the eWitness module, which is really nice. It's a great reporting tool, so you can run statistics for a lab director. It's always nice to see. you're a little bit big brother, and I know the team doesn't really like it a lot, but still, you can see who did the most witnessing steps. You can see the timestamps. So for every witnessing step, you have a date and a timestamp. So you can also see if novices in your lab, for instance, do the procedure quickly enough, or if there's somebody who's really taking maybe a little bit too long time to finish a procedure, then you can actually go to that person and say, look, I see from your witnessing points that when you start your procedure and you end, that it actually takes too much time. So we have to sit together and see if you can optimize your process also. They also have opportunities for traceability of products and machines. We don't use it at the moment, but in theory you could scan your incubator or whatever consumable that you use, and you can also have it in their system. And yeah, I have to tell, and it's not because I am here, but it's a really nice and a great team to work with. They're very supportive. I mean, another virtual meeting or a visit to your center is not something that you have to wait a long time for, so they really help you to get started. So your implementation phase is really short, and they really help you to start with the system. This is how it looks on the dashboard side, so it's the back office side. So of course it's a Dutch version because we're a Belgian clinic. So the gray areas are the names of the patients I had to anonymize. So what you see is actually I have different kind of agendas where you have semen coming in and oocytes coming in. So you have an insemination or injection list. So these are for your observations. If you only do an observation on one day, then you can ask them and they will only show the patients on day 3 if you use a sequential medium like we do to actually go from cleavage to blastocyst medium. But if you want to observe every day, you can have an observation list every day for embryo transfer, for warming and thawing. And then you have also a clinic agenda where you can see all the type of treatments that there are. You can tick these things and you can alphabetically rank them according what you want. So what you see is you see these eyes. So eyes means that it's been witnessed, that it's been completed. And if you look at those details behind the eye, what you see here are the process steps that we would want our team to scan. And so we also let the administrative staff use the witnessing system. They are in the reception outside of our clean room, and they take care of reception of semen samples. So there's the first step. We actually call the process steps a little bit detailed, so that the people also have like a kind of a flow chart, also for novices, because they need to use this system and they need to know what they have to do. So it's kind of like a little bit of a procedure. They know, okay, I first have to scan the semen container and all the tubes. This is my gradient step. Then I have the wash step, and I have to do that. Then I have the end step, and then we have the release step. So when the sample is released for a clinical application. So it clearly timestamps everything that you have to do. It's a great traceability tool. Of course, that's why we use it. So you can see which step was witnessed by who, at what time, which label was used. So every label has a unique traceability code. So even if you have 3 tubes and you print 3 labels, each label has a unique GS1 barcode on it. And it really shows who has done what at what time point. Wait, before, can I go back? Because I have forgotten one thing. So on top you see there is a misscan. So whenever there is a misscan, you see it immediately in your back office. And then I don't have a slide on that, but if you click on that, you can easily fill in a remark. For instance, if somebody has not linked a semen sample from a satellite center, we use a lot of satellite centers, so sperm is coming in and oocytes. We ask these guys to use the barcodes from their hospital. It's GS1 barcodes. I think this is the only system, I don't know for sure, but it does enable you to link GS1 barcodes externally to your system, so it's really nice. Your satellite centers don't need to change anything. You just link this peculiar barcode to your eWitness system, hop, and the traceability chain is again going as it should be. I asked my team to make a little movie. I have a great team with a lot of great embryologists, but they also like to do this movie things. And of course, these guys work with it on a daily basis. So I'm going to show you actually the video how we do a reception of IUI, semen sample up to the IUI done by nurses in our hospital using the system. And then Arne, which is not here unfortunately, but he is actually the lab technician who was the project lead for this project. He is also sharing his views at the moment on the system. So let's have a look.
Check in.
Ah, there's no sound. Is there? Okay. So it's a shortened processing, of course.
Hi, my name is Arne. I'm lab technician from University Hospital in Gent in Belgium. We are currently using the eWitnessing system for 1 year, still in its development stage, but we're currently scanning some procedures, others we are working on. The device is very handy to help relax the sphere around the lab because you don't need a second pair of eyes from other coworkers. You don't need to shout or to call someone to get over. Also, the device is connected with the EMR system, which is very handy to get your data. It's also easy to connect with other barcodes, for example, from the embryoscope or other patient barcodes that
Okay, so of course, I mean, it's not the perfect system. We still are human working with the system. So there's still some weak links that you have to address. And it's also learning your staff to work with the system. So, I mean, if you use a scanning device and not an RFID, I mean, yeah, people can still omit a scan. They cannot use the device. So, I mean, it's something that you have to bear in mind. Of course, most of staff actually really likes working with it because it kind of gives you a really relaxed atmosphere in the lab because we are one big room in Gent and so often it's like, yeah, we need check, somebody check, you know. So you kind of get rid of all these things and people are more in the flow of what they are doing, more concentrated. Yeah. Printing labels is still a very, very important step and you have to stick the label on a tube and you have to make sure that the sample the first time is in the right tube with the right name. No digital witnessing system is going to change that. Or we are going to go to this, you know, completely automated sushi-like labs in clinical diagnostic. We are not there yet, where the labels are actually also automatically put on the devices. So this is still an important step. Overconfidence in the system, yeah, you still need to read, you know, what you do. The system can break down, and this is important. So that's why we always have the name on the labels. It's one label with the name, with the RFID, with the barcode or the 2D matrix. If the system fails or there's something going on with the devices, you can just switch to manual witnessing, which is still the backup then. And of course, you have to educate your staff. So thank you very much for taking a lunch break to join me here. If you have any questions, I'm more than willing and happy to share with you. Thank you.
Kelly, thank you very much. Lovely presentation. Are there any immediate questions from the audience at the moment? I've got a comment I want to make to you as well, Kelly. We see nowadays with clinics, it's getting busier and busier, more patients coming through, and like you say, we need some kind of reassurance for the embryologist as well to feel a bit of safety, because like you say, we can call somebody to come and witness, but that instant when you disrupt them in their procedure, that can again be the cause of a mistake potentially being made. So it's important to have that reassurance, and I think with clinics becoming busier and busier, that's one way of actually taking care of it.
Yeah, I think, I mean, digital witnessing, I think, it's like an ESHRE. It should be there. It should be no matter what, you know, product that you use. I think there's a cost, of course, but I calculated it in my team and the size of the clinic that I have. The purely manual witnessing on a yearly basis, it saves 0.3 full-time equivalents. So we calculated the amount of seconds that it takes for somebody to get up, to go to a colleague, to read the label, to check, to write on a paper, it's me who checked, go back and start their work again on the other station. So I could convince my clinic hospital management to say, look, we are saving 0.3 full-time equivalents, and these 0.3 full-time equivalents will not get pregnant, will not get sick, will be concentrated every day because the system does the scan and do the witness every time. So I think you have to find a way to convince your management to invest in this, but it makes, I mean, it makes the noisy background which we have in an IVF lab, you know, it goes down, and this is really nice because you kind of get in this Zen mode, very nice flow. And if people, maybe for the clinic it's different because you only have one patient in the room when you do a transfer or an IUI, but still our nurses really like it because they do the IUIs alone. They're alone there with the patient, and now at least they have a system, and so they feel also a little more confident in doing that. So I think it's the way forward. I know we also had to wait a long time. We are an academic center, the second largest in Belgium. It took me until 2023 to convince my hospital management. So be patient, take time, but I think it's something like you need to have. Yeah.
And I think, like with all technologies that are now developing, we don't have to be worried that it's going to take over our jobs. It's there to help us. That's what the technology is for.
Yeah,
and we
absolutely.
need to harness that technology.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's stupid. Certainly in a weekend, if you have a short staff, they have to get up all the time to do this manual witnessing. I mean, we started actually using it on a Thursday or a Friday, actually, because I wanted to see the weekend team to see the benefit. And if these guys saw it, then we were gone. So then the train kept rolling. So it's a huge difference if you're short-staffed, if you're a few people in the lab. So yeah, it makes a huge difference. So yeah, it's really a tool that can help your staff. Absolutely. Yeah.
Listen, Kelly, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.